Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today we are getting back from the ArnFest event that just happened up in Illinois this past weekend, and this will probably be a week or so later before it actually gets posted. But picked up a bunch of stuff at the swap meet and stuff that people just gave me, etc., which always seems to happen at ArnFest. I always seem to come back with a bunch of stuff. I also took up a bunch of stuff for the swap meet. I sold a bunch of stuff. Had a bunch of people stop by my table and pick up items. I had stuff priced to sell. I was trying to get rid of some things, and I did come back lighter, although I did bring back some stuff too, although I think my net weight difference was lighter than when I went up there, which was the goal, was to come back with less than what I went up there with. But I did pick up some cool stuff, and I wanted to share this with you. I've also got some viewer mail and some purchases and some stuff over here piling up on the table. So once again, this is in defense of actually trying to get my shop cleaned up. I have to do these periodically because I do like to share what I get with you guys and show you neat tools, and also recognize those that are sending stuff in as well. So with that, let's get it started. And Ginger's just in time to help supervise or get a belly rub. I'm not sure which. What do you guys think? Belly rub or supervise? Yeah, leave a comment. All right, let's get at it. So up first here is actually not something that I purchased, but some stuff I picked up. And this is some stuff I actually had sent up to Mark Rotowski. Mark is the guy that does my tool repair stuff. He has a little business that he runs where he does calibrations and restores indicators and other metrology tooling and what have you. Really good guy. He's been a big help to me over the years. I know I've showed a bunch of his stuff, but this is some stuff I had sent up to him, and I actually met him at ArnFest. He lives right there in Crystal Lake, which is right near where we do it. So he usually shows up every year. And once again, this year he came and bearing back some stuff, and I actually traded boxes with him and sent some more stuff back with him for him to work on. But got two Ames hardness testers. These are some tools that I picked up. I'd showed in some previous videos. He went through them, checked them all out. I think the indicators on them were needing some tuning up, and he actually checked them with his calibration stuff and left me with some conversions down here to read this stuff and get proper measurements. But these both checked out just fine. A couple of micrometers, had some different indicators that he had rebuilt for me that had issues, and then a set of dial calipers, some Starrett dial calipers. So anyway, all this stuff he redid for me. If you have any old metrology tooling that needs some TLC, Mark is your guy. I know I get a lot of emails and stuff from people wanting to know his contact information. I'm going to zoom in here on his business card because that has everything on it that you need to know, and you can get up with him if you got some stuff you want to send him. He does a great job. I highly recommend him. And Mark, thank you very much. So up next, some stuff I purchased from Doug Broberg, who is a long-term friend of mine. He'd actually sent me a message quite some time back ago about these items that he had that he was going to bring up. And what these are expanding mandrels. If you're not familiar with these, if you watch my channel, you've seen me use these before. This is a big set that actually helps me get my setup a little bit larger than where I'm currently at. But basically what you do is if you've got something that has an internal bore on it, you can put it on these mandrels. They expand, by sliding this piece here up and down on this tapered mandrel here. It goes in, the inside diameter or the OD of this will expand to the inside diameter of what you're turning. And you can then put this on the lathe between centers and turn it and basically turn the outside concentric with the inside. This is a very large set. I think this goes from about 3 3/8 up to about 5 inches between these two pieces here. This piece here fits the same tapered mandrel here, so basically two different pieces that goes through a range, and really gets me up to some larger capabilities with these. Anyway, pick those up. He also had a little drill chuck that I picked up, and I think there was also a empty box for a biax scraper that I picked up to put one of my biax scrapers in. It's over in another pile right now. But anyway, I got all that from Doug, and anyway, greatly appreciate that. These here are welcomed additions to the shop. Like I said, I've got a pretty good set of these that goes up, I think, to this size now, which is a nice set to have. Next item here are a couple of brooches, keyway brooches. I got these from Dan Warner. These are big ones, as you can tell. This one here is a 7/8 inch brooch, and this one is a 1-inch brooch. So not something you, or at least sizes that I commonly need to broach, but it's one of those things that if I ever need to, this would cost an arm and a leg to buy, and I got a really good deal on these. Also had a bunch of these shims to go behind them that he gave me as well. So anyway, I picked these up and brought them home just because it's just nice to have these in the arsenal for that little job that comes up. They had a good price on them, so I just went ahead and got them. So Dan, thank you. Had a viewer that stopped me as I was walking through, and he had this set of set screws. This is a McMaster car set in a nice little case here, and I purchased it from him, but he gave me a really sweet deal on this as well. Pennies on the dollar of what it would cost to buy it new from McMaster, and it's pretty much complete here. So nice set of set screws. Again, this is just one of those things that it's nice to have laying around. I've probably got most of these over in my cabinet already, but there's probably some in here that I don't have, but for the price, yeah, I just went ahead and got it. So anyway, nice little set of set screws. So one of the highlights of going to ArnFest every year for me is I usually get to see my buddy and fellow YouTube creator, Mr. Pete, Lyle Peterson. And he was there again this year, and this was a little Babbitt scraper that he had on his table, and he actually gave this to me for scraping Babbitt bearings. So this is a little curved bottom bearing scraper. You guys know I do a lot of Babbitt bearings, and these bearing scrapers are really handy to have. I got a few of them over in the cabinet, but when I see them at swap meets and stuff, I usually go ahead and pick them up. But this one here, like I said, it was he just gave it to me, so I was greatly appreciative of that, and it was great, as always, to see Mr. Pete. So we have here is another little gift that was given to me by Ron Brown. Ron is someone else that I see every year up at ArnFest, and I always look forward to seeing him. He's a longtime viewer and has become a good friend that I see every year at ArnFest. But he gave me some tooling here. There's some taps, some drill bits, and some end mills in here. All good stuff. So I'm going to put this stuff up in my various cabinets and have it available for when we need it. And Ron, thank you very much. So here's one I'm kind of excited about. Carl Shields had picked up a box of Babbitt-Wright. This is damming material that I use when I'm pouring Babbitt bearings. I've used Babbitt-Wright for years. I've been through a couple of boxes of this over the years just using it up. They don't make this stuff anymore. And this is the original. This is the stuff that was used forever and ever and ever. And I've always liked this product. Now here lately I've been using a product called Deacon Mold Pack. It's very similar, does kind of the same thing, but Carl had a brand spanking new box of unopened Babbitt-Wright, and I did a little horse trading with him. I actually traded some stuff off of my swap meet table and got a box of Babbitt-Wright to add to my collection. So anyway, I'm really happy to have this stuff because like I said, you can't get it anymore. They quit making it some years ago, and I just really have always liked that product. Now, I will note, and every time I talk about Babbitt-Wright, back in the old days, this stuff had asbestos in it. They did change their formulation at some point, I think back in the 1980s. The newer stuff does not have asbestos in it. Honestly, I don't know if this does or doesn't, but I'm pretty sure this is newer stock that probably would not, but I know that always comes up when I mention Babbitt-Wright, so I just thought I'd mention that. I know where he got it from, and I don't think it's that old. I'll just put it that way. Another little gift here. This came from Brian Smant. This is a little practical engineering book that he gave me, and you guys know I'm a sucker for these old books. But this was basically a book for people who were studying to become an engineer, fireman, machinist like on a railroad or something similar. This is one of the Audell's books, but basically this was like what you would study to go in before you took your test that you would have to be able to pass to be considered an engineer, like on the railroads or something like that. If you notice, it's formatted with questions and answers. And basically, these were the questions that they would ask you in an oral exam as you were moving up from, like, going from a fireman to an engineer on a railroad or something like that. So, you were basically expected to know this content, if not verbatim, at least know the answer to the questions. So anyway, really interesting stuff. I like these old books. I find them extremely helpful when I'm working on old equipment and stuff. Very often I can go find the stuff in my library, pull it up, and find the answers to stuff that I need to know that's pretty much obsolete in today's world. So anyway, nice to have this, Brian. Thanks for sharing it. So this is a neat little item that was given to me by a guy that was out on the swap meet. He was actually selling these, and he gave me one of them, and dang, I don't remember his name. He was from up in Milwaukee, volunteers, I think he's retired from Harley-Davidson, and invited me to come look at the Harley-Davidson museum with him sometime, but I can't remember his name. I think he gave me a card, but I couldn't find it. It's in my pile of stuff. I don't have it where I can get to it. But basically what this is a little 3D printed project that he made, and this little insert comes out. It's threaded in two pieces, and what you do is you take your Eagle 66 oiler and you put this on here, and you can then screw this back in, and it makes it where you have a nice wide base so these things don't flip over on you. So you just tighten this up. If you want to get a little spanner wrench or something, you can put that in there. And he has them actually saying what they are. He had different ones that said cutting oil or what have you. So anyway, I thought that was kind of a neat little thing. That's much less likely to flip over than the oil can like it's originally made. But anyway, thank you very much. So a couple of taps, 2-inch 16. Viewer gave these to me, and again, I apologize. I don't remember the name of the person that gave these to me, but some bigger taps here. These are nice to have. Again, you just don't ever know when you might need them. I was working on a project the other day and needed a bigger tap, and I had what I needed over in my cabinet, probably because someone gave me something, or I just picked it up at a swap meet because it was a big tap and the price was right. And if you go out and have to buy these, they get really, really expensive. So anyway, nice to have these, a 2-inch 16 taps, a couple of them here. I'll put these over in my cabinet with my other big taps, and you will likely see it in a project one day if I ever need that size thread. Had a viewer dropped off a bunch of material here to be scanned into the site. So I got a bunch of catalogs and manuals and stuff. There's some K&T stuff there, Hydro Tool Corporation, Atlas, you just name it, a bunch of miscellaneous stuff. And down here in the bottom, this is kind of cool. I'm not going to go through each of these right now, but this is a bunch of basically photographs that were used in advertising. So like there's a Logan lathe that has a screen on there of some type to give it some color. But this was actually from, I think, an advertising company. There's a grinder, a bunch of different stuff. So again, this is stuff that we will scan these photos and put them up on the website as well. But a lot of original advertising stuff that's kind of cool, back before everything was digital. So again, thank you for sending this stuff in. So I picked up a bunch of these little boxes that have number and letter stamps inside of them. Some of them are complete, some of them are missing a few, but anyway, got a nice little assortment. This one here is pretty well complete. It's missing the little period dot, but that's one that you can grab out of another set. It really doesn't depend on the size. These two are basically the same size, 3/32. I'm sorry, no, this is a 16th. These two are 3/32, and I got two partial sets, but I'm still missing. This one here is filled out. I'm missing the A the QRSTUV, the W, and the period, and a number 3. And I got some extras over here. 1/8 inch set is missing a couple as well. And then a 1/4 inch set that's complete. I do have some other sets over in my drawer, and some of those are missing some, so I'm hoping that I can kind of mix and match and kind of fill some of these out. But and some of these I have duplicate sets of in these sizes. So, but anyway, it's nice to have these. So the same guy that I got the letter stamps from, he had a bunch of end mills and other tooling here that he had up there, and I ended up just buying out everything he had because he had some kind of unusual stuff that I thought might come in handy one day. So what really kind of got my interest more than anything else is he had a bunch of these end mills that are ground at a taper, and a lot of these were actually factory ground at the taper. I kind of got them separated out here. So this is a 1 degree, this is a 2 degree, 3 degree, 5, 7, 10, and 15. So these are all degree angles. So you see they're tapered. So if you were milling something that needed to have a taper on the edge, an angled edge, you could use one of these end mills. And I've got some others over in the drawer, but not near this many. These down here are all tapered, but they're not marked. I'm going to have to get out an angle finder and figure out what they are. It's not a big deal. I just got to do it. These are tapers, but they're the other direction, so kind of dovetail, but you know, not your typical dovetail like a 60-degree dovetail like that cutter, but still got custom angles on it. There's some key seaters in here. These are round over milling bits, so if you got like a radius you need to mill on the edge of something, you can come in with these. There's a ball end mill, a couple regular end mills, so just some miscellaneous stuff. And it was kind of late in the day when I got there, and he made me a really, really sweet deal on this whole lot. So now I need to get all these sorted out and over in my cabinet where I can find what I need when I need it. But some, again, kind of unusual stuff. You had to, basically for what I paid for all of this, if I had to buy any one of these angled cutters, it would probably cost twice what I paid for the whole set. So I was pretty happy to pick these up, and most of these are really nice and sharp, even though they are potentially used. Some of these obviously have been either new or reground, but should be some handy stuff in here that I'll need at some point in time. And finally, picked up a nice selection of some taper shank drill bits, again from a viewer. I did purchase these, but he gave me a sweet, sweet deal on them. At the end of the day there, trying to get everything, trying to go home with less than what you came with, which was my goal, but these are all things I can use. So I've got some bins over there with taper shank drill bits sorted out by size. I'm going to go put these up in there, but I got a really, really nice selection. These are all the drills are in pretty good shape. Now, a lot of the tips are going to need to be resharpened, but I've got my seller's drill sharpener that will easily handle any of these. These basically go, 2 inch is the largest one, 1 3/4. It just kind of goes down. They're kind of random sizes. Down to a little bit less than 1 inch. There's a couple less than 1 inch in here, but most of them are between 1 and 2 inches. So again, very nice set here. And I don't know if any of these are sizes that I don't have over there, but I will gladly put them in and have some extras if I got some over here. I'm sure I do. But very good. Another nice pick there. All right, I think we got all of our ArnFest goodies done. Now I'm going to get into my regular viewer mail and such. And what I have here is an item that was sent in from Terrence Miles from actually over in England. And he sent me a set of the little screwdriver tips here or whatever. But this set, I think, has every imaginable socket that you could possibly think of. There are things in here that I don't know that I've ever actually even seen in the wild. Some of these are those oddball things, like if you're ever in a bathroom stall and you see that weird fastener that you got to have, like a star bit with a hole in the center. It's got them in here. So I mean, I can't imagine that there's much out there that I'm ever going to need that's not in this set. So Terrence, thank you so much for sending these along. this will be definitely helpful. I mean, I've got, obviously, like most of us, a pretty good selection of the most common things you would run into, but yeah, this has got some things that, yeah, I would never see. And he saw that I was having to do a little scrambling on some tiny Allen screws that I had when I was working on my taper attachment. That's what kind of prompted him to send this to me. But anyway, thank you so much, Terry. I appreciate you sending that along. So up next comes from Davis Jensen out in Lamada, California. And he sent this along because this has a quick switch 300 backer on it, which fits the quick switch system that I have over on my horizontal boring mill. And what's the interesting thing is that this is another, quick change coupler to yet another type of thing that you can change cutters out on. And he also sent along a nice selection of some end mill holders, some Jacobs taper, things to put drill chucks on and what have you. So I'll be honest with you. I mean, ideally, I would probably want to stay away from going from one quick change to another quick change, because every time you do this, you introduce the opportunity for run out in your tools. But with that said, there's some tooling in here, these long shanked end mill holders and stuff, that at some point in time I might have a need for something to kind of reach up into something and need a longer insert. So, it's definitely something that would be useful. Ideally, again, I would just go directly to a quick switch holder that had the same thing, but I'm gonna put this in my cabinet because I can see where it might be useful. And I haven't spent really much time looking exactly how this works, but basically just put those in there and somehow or another this thing clicks together. I need to figure out what system this is. I don't really see a whole lot of writing on it, but I'll figure it out and we'll figure out how to use it. But anyway, Davis, thank you very much. We'll put it to work. So this item here was sent in by Mark Zimmerman out in Granbury, Texas, and it's basically just a little drill index. And he said he saw where I needed something like this to put my transfer punch set in. And he had this laying over. He said this was from a friend's estate. Looks like it's in pretty much brand spanking new condition. So anyway, thank you very much for sending that along. My little holder for my transfer punches is kind of wonky, so this will be a nice upgrade. I will switch those over to it for sure. Thank you very much. Up next, I got a couple of power hacksaw blades. These were sent in by Charles Pastor. Charles actually recently took one of my scraping classes, and while we were taking the scraping class, we were needing to cut a little slot in the bottom of a dovetail to kind of give some clearance for our scraper to cut into. And I had mentioned that I had in the past used these thick power hacksaw blades to do that with, but I didn't have a blade handy for us to do it. We kind of had to make do with some other ways. And Charles said, you know what, I got a couple of those at the house. So he was kind enough to send me a couple of these blades. And even though I don't have a power hacksaw to put these on, I will use this kind of as a hand saw, again, to get down into the bottom of a dovetail on a machine or whatever, just to cut a little bit of relief in the bottom, again, for our scraper to have clearance. So Charles, thanks for sending these along. I'm gonna rig me up a little handle on these that we can use them. And we got another scraping class coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'm sure that they will get used. Got some items here sent in from Mark Peterson up in Plymouth, Minnesota. And Mark had noted in one of my cane mill restoration projects that I was going to have to drill some long drill holes for some long bolts to go in. And he said, well, I got some auger bits that belong to his dad, and he said he'd send them along. Well, Mark, I appreciate it. I will note, though, even though the video on the cane mill hasn't been shown yet, I actually got these drill bits from you after I had already drilled those holes, and I already used a different auger bit to do it with. But these are some nice auger bits, and there's some sizes here that I don't have long auger bits for. So you won't see it in that video, but I'm sure you'll see these down the road somewhere else. So these three here are bits that can fit up into just a regular drill chuck. These two longer ones are actually for a bracing bit. You can tell by this little piece up here on the top, for a hand auger. Still useful, and very often people will just cut these off where they can use them in a regular drill, although I will probably keep them as hand augers because sometimes I still need to or use a brace and bit. I think they're kind of cool. And then this item back here, this is really, really a nice tool. This is what's called a slick. And basically it's a kind of like a big chisel, but it's really not used so much for chiseling. It's done for more handwork in like mortise and tenon, or timber framing, cutting mortise and tenons and stuff like that. So it's basically kind of used like a big, almost like a hand plane for just flattening surfaces out and what have you. I actually, in that project as well, used a smaller than this slick to do some work there. And that video, I haven't even edited it yet. And a little secret here, I don't always publish videos in the order of the way that they work through the shop. Sometimes they kind of get saved and held back for various reasons. But these are all tools that I have used in the past and will use in the future. And anyway, nice to have this. Again, really, really, really like this slick. I was looking to see if I saw a maker's mark on it, a name or something. I don't see one. Oh, here's something right here. What does that say? T.H. Witherby. So that's a pretty well known brand, the Witherby. So that's a nice item. I'm gonna see about kind of cleaning that up a little bit while leaving some of the patina on it. But very, very nice. Very, very nice tool for sure. And Mark, thank you very much. Some items here sent in by Joel Havens. Joel is another long-term friend and collaborator. He does an awful lot of work behind the scenes on the VintageMachinery.org website, doing research on manufacturers. He does a lot with our patents that are entered into the system. Really one of our workhorse guys that, again, doesn't see a lot in the limelight, but he does a lot behind the scenes, and he is greatly appreciated. But he recently sent along some items to me. Couple of plumbing tools here. So this one here, this is what I think they call a basin wrench. And it's really handy if you're like working on a sink and you're kind of up underneath the bottom, you need to reach up into a hole. This thing will kind of flop over at whatever angle and get on a fit, and then you can kind of turn it from down below. You know, I can remember as a child, being at my grandfather's house one weekend. Just a little personal story here, but being at my grandfather's house one weekend, and they had a problem with one of the sinks leaking, and we had to go to the hardware store and buy one of these. And I still remember that. I don't know why I remember that, but I still remember doing that with my grandfather when I was just a little boy. And I remember thinking, that's a neat little wrench, but he needed one to fix a sink with, and I don't have one. I do now. This is a little pipe wrench. This is what they call a rapid wrench. This is Ridge Tool Company. It's kind of spring loaded, so you can kind of get in there and grab, and it'll self-adjust to whatever angle you need. I can sure see that being handy when you just need to go in there and grab something quick and maybe in limited space. Got a little ladle here for pouring Babbitt or lead or what have you. And then this is an angle divider. You basically open that up, and let's see here. The sides kind of come out like such, and you can put this in there, and it kind of divides your angle, and depending on where it falls on this little slot here, it tells you both in degrees as well as in pitch, like a roof pitch, what you got there. So that's basically 0. That's a 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, and then this is 60 degrees, 45 degrees, and 30 degrees. Anyway, Joel, thank you very much. I appreciate it. We'll put these up and put them to work. All right, next here from Lester Murphy out in San Antonio, Texas, and he sent along a bunch of stuff, some miscellaneous stuff. So we've got these plumber's torches. These were used back in the day by plumbers to heat up the lead that would seal things up, and basically I think you put gasoline in these and you'd pump them up, and it would just make a little blowtorch. You know, I don't know, I'd probably be scared to try to use one, but they're cool. They make nice shop decorations, if nothing else. But anyway, they're kind of neat. And then, let's see, there's some little gram gauges here. These are little dynamometers or whatever. Basically, you can put force on something and measure how much force it takes to move something or whatever. It's got a scale on here. Some of these are in different scales. This one goes from 0 to 100 grams. This one goes from 0 to 250 grams. This one goes to 250. This one goes to 100. And then these are also some kind of manual ones. There's a little. These have different blades on here that are different thicknesses, so you can kind of, you know, see what kind of force it takes to move something. That's kind of neat. And then these little plastic bins are just full of all kinds of hardware, and there's some other loose stuff here. And yeah, at least he has most of the stuff sorted out. I mean, some of the stuff like this little bin here, guys, my OCD will not allow me to put a bunch of loose flathead screws in a drawer somewhere. I'm going to have to sort them out by size and length because it's just the way I am. So some rainy Sunday afternoon when I can't do nothing else, I'll come out here and start sorting through all this stuff. And kind of same goes up here. I think most of this is sorted out, but I will get it into my cabinets where they belong in the proper drawer, and probably put them in one of the bins that I've got them save stuff in, and just kind of get it sorted in over there. You know, hardware is one of those things, you can't have too much of this hardware. You're working on a project. I mean, it happens all the time. You go and you just don't have the right fastener that you need. So you have to go to town and go to the hardware store, order something and wait. So having a good selection of this kind of stuff in the shop really makes life a lot easier. And, you know, that's one of the things too, when I'm out at swap meets and whatever, if I see a bin full of hardware, you know, particularly if it's sorted out and, you know, not just a box with a bunch of stuff in it, but, you know, although I have been known to do that too, but if you get stuff that's sorted, it really is nice to just get it and put it up and have it when you need it. So Lester, thank you very much. We'll put all this stuff up. Probably not today, but I will get it all sorted out and put up eventually. And thank you very much for sending it in. I'm sure it'll come in handy. And I think last item here, this comes from Richard Bennett at CinemaGear.com. Basically, he restores antique cinema cameras and things like that. Does some pretty neat work. Anyway, he has sent stuff before, and he sent along a bunch of books and catalogs that he knows I'm kind of a sucker for this kind of stuff. Some of this stuff is definitely some things that will go up on the website. Some of the books will probably just go into my collection. But anyway, some nice stuff here. And Richard, thank you very much for sending it along. We will get it sorted out and put in the proper place. What needs to be scanned will get scanned eventually and up on the VintageMachinery.org website. Thank you very much. Phew, I think we got all this stuff worked through. And once again, I have a clean bench, and my spot over here where I pile stuff up is nice and clean as well. And usually whenever I get that done, the mailman will usually bring something the next day and start piling it up again. That's usually the kind of way it works around here. Not complaining. Very thankful to everybody that sends stuff in. It's always a nice treat to get to go through this stuff, and really have gotten some nice treasures over the years, and really do appreciate that. So guys, with that, that is a wrap. We'll be signing off here as always. Thanks so much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up and comments, they really help out a lot. As always, a big, huge thank you to those who support the site financially through Patreon, PayPal, and YouTube memberships. All those are great ways to help out around here. And with that, I'm going to sign off and get out of here. We'll catch you on the next video. Again, as always, thanks for watching.